Hello and welcome to the weekly Education Pulse, your quick, sharp roundup of the most important developments in international education from around the world. I'm Tony.
And I'm Sami, and we've got a packed show for you today.
From policy changes in the Gulf and Egypt to the global race to bring artificial intelligence to the classroom, there's a lot happening. And we're here to unpack what matters, why it matters, and what it means for schools, educators, and the entire sector.
So let's get into the news, and we're starting in the Gulf, where school enrollments are booming, inspections are heating up, and operators are making big plays across the region. And we kick off with schools in Dubai. So if you thought last year was busy, buckle up. New data from the Khalij Times shows 40% increase in school admissions year on year, with some parents now facing months, even years on waiting lists.
Yeah, it's an eye-opener. This isn't just a peak admission season, it's sustained, accelerated growth, and many schools just simply don't have the capacity to meet demand. Some are running multiple waiting lists, especially at the premium end of the market.
And it's showing just how magnetic Dubai still is for expats. But what's more revealing is that the market might be approaching a bottleneck. Growth has outpaced the infrastructure, and it's no longer just about having shiny facilities. It's about space, staffing, and scalability.
On the topic of standards, which school advisor just released a roundup of the latest British schools overseas inspections, and several Dubai schools have achieved that coveted outstanding rating.
Yeah, Cambridge International School Dubai made the list and others too, and it's a big deal. It's one thing to say you're a British curriculum school, but a BSO outstanding rating actually proves it.
And in a market that's, well, I don't know if we can say saturated, but
Yeah,
certainly very busy, external validation is everything. These ratings aren't just a badge of honor, they influence fee justification, parent trust, and even the future of staff recruitment.
exactly. Parents might not understand every detail of a curriculum framework, but they know what outstanding means. And the final Gulf update, and this is a strategic play worth watching. GEMS Education, via its advisory arm, First School Management, is partnering with Spark Education Platform to roll out GEMS branded schools across Saudi Arabia and also Bahrain.
And what's notable here is that this isn't a traditional acquisition, it's a management advisory partnership, which means GEMS are essentially licensing its model out to Spark, who already operate 4 schools within this space for over 10,000 students.
Exactly. Scale without the ownership. They're exporting the GEMS playbook, not the whole machine. And let's not forget, GEMS actually already has deep experience in the Gulf. So this is just a faster way for them to tap into Saudi's expanding education demand without having to build everything from scratch.
It also signals confidence in both Saudi and Bahrain as long-term markets. Partnerships like this are nimble, low risk, and tailored for growth markets with regulatory complexity.
And when a player like GEMS makes that kind of move, others usually follow. So, big picture, in the Gulf, we're seeing explosive demand in Dubai, continued push for quality and inspection standards, and major school groups like GEMS finding new ways to scale smart. So it's not just busy, it's evolving fast.
Yeah, and the region's education landscape is certainly maturing, but it's doing so with regional nuance, capacity, affordability, standards, and partnerships all converging at once.
All right, so that's the latest from the Gulf, and it's clear whether we're talking about Dubai, Bahrain, or Saudi, the region is running hot with growth and reform. But let's not forget one of the region's biggest players, and that's Egypt. And there's been a very interesting curriculum development over there that could have long-term implications for how the country positions itself globally.
That's right. I mean, the Egyptian Ministry of Education has reportedly initiated talks with Cambridge to overhaul and modernize the Egypt school curricula.
Cambridge, as in the Cambridge, which is a bold move. And according to reports, they're looking to restructure the national curriculum to meet international standards. If that happens, it'd be one of the most sweeping education reforms Egypt has undertaken in years.
And it wouldn't be just about curriculum content, it's all about how subjects are taught and assessed. Think skills-based learning, critical thinking, alignment with international benchmarks.
And it's quite a pivot. Egypt's national system has been heavily textbook driven, focused on rote memorization and high stakes exams. But if Cambridge gets involved, we could see a more modular, inquiry based approach enter the national framework.
It would also raise the baseline, for not just for government schools, but private and international schools operating in Egypt, many of whom already offer British curricula. Standardizing the system around international models might help bridge gaps between the sectors.
Yeah, and let's be real, it's also a bit of a flex. Partnering with Cambridge adds brand credibility, it signals to both families and investors that Egypt is serious about modernizing education to be competitive in a global economy.
That said, curriculum reform is no small undertaking and not something you can do quickly. These conversations are still likely to be very exploratory, but they're important and it shows intent from the ministry, and that is a positive sign.
Definitely. And if this gains traction, you can bet we'll be seeing a ripple effect, not just in Egypt, but across Northern Africa, whether other countries may start rethinking how their systems measure up. And that moves us on to our spotlight for this week. And we're diving into something that's creeping into every school leader's inbox, whether they're ready for it or not. And that's artificial intelligence in the classroom. Not just chat GPT panic or exam policy tweaks, but proper structured curriculum level AI.
Yeah, and for once, we're not just talking about shiny tech demos or panic over cheating. We're talking about actual academic frameworks that teach students what AI is, how it works, and how to use it responsibly.
Exactly. And the story that sparked this discussion, the UK's Learning Resource Network, or LRN, just became the first exam board globally to launch a full on international GCSE and A level in artificial intelligence. So it's not a module, it's not a pilot, it's the full curriculum. Machine learning, natural language processing, neural networks, and even AI ethics and governance.
It's a strong signal. By giving AI its own academic standing, like physics or economics, it's saying this matters, that students need to be AI literate and not just AI exposed.
And that's the key that you just mentioned there. So far, AI has been sprinkled into schools like digital glitter, a chat tool here, a presentation gimmick there, but this makes it concrete. It brings AI from the fringe of innovation right into the mainstream academic planning.
Now, LRN's move is bold, but they're not alone. And if we zoom out globally, you start to see three very distinct approaches to AI education emerging. Let's have a quick look at how the UK, China, and South Korea are doing things.
Yes, so the UK, classic British move. Let's formalize it, test it, give it a certificate. It makes AI a measurable academic skill that helps schools market their programs, gives parents confidence, and lets universities treat it seriously.
It's a good approach, but there's obviously the risk there of making it too theoretical, right? You reduce it down to a textbook subject, you lose a practical fluency. So the success of this hinges on really whether schools can teach it well, not just test it well.
Then when we shift over to China, and it's a bit contrasted there, who basically the government has said everyone's learning AI and there's no debate about it. They're rolling out mandatory AI curriculum from primary school onwards starting next year.
And they're not doing this by halves. The government's investing in AI labs in public schools, a national bank of teaching materials, and teacher retraining programs to ensure delivery delivery quality.
Yeah, it's not just about jobs, it's about national strategy. China sees AI as a geopolitical lever, so making sure the next generation is fluent in it isn't optional, it's survival.
Now, if we start now move over to South Korea and have a look what they're doing. And it's much more a measured route. They've piloted AI in selected schools since 2020, so right at the beginning of AI coming on, Chat GTP coming on the scene. And now they're scaling up. 2025, integrating across digital literacy, science, and even ethics using textbooks and platforms.
Yeah, they're cautious and a bit more democratic about it, but it's still moving quickly. That said, there was a parent backlash, which was interesting because there was over 50,000 parents that signed petitions worried about screen time, AI bias, and mental health impact in schools.
And that obviously brings something up that we don't always consider in these headlines, that cultural readiness. It's not about whether we can implement a system, but whether the students, parents, and teachers actually want it.
That's right. So if we line all those three up, what have we got? UK, certify it. China, mandate it. And South Korea, phase it in strategically. And it raises the question for us, what's the right way forward for other systems, especially within international schools?
That's where I think this conversation matters. International schools pride themselves on being innovative, future focused, but as yet, many haven't, they haven't made space for AI as a subject, and some haven't even made it a space for it as a tool.
Yeah, exactly. We're seeing schools using AI for lesson planning or maybe testing tools like adaptive learning platforms, but how many schools are actively teaching students what AI is and how to use it ethically?
I think school leaders need to be asking themselves, as a leadership team, as a school, should we offer AI as a standalone subject? Is that appropriate? How do we upskill our teachers, not just our ICT teachers, but all of our teachers and potentially wider staff in the school? Should we get our teachers to deliver or bring in industry professionals? How do we stay ahead of the regulations and any university entrance changes that may follow?
Yeah, and frankly, if you're a parent, investor, or student watching this, would you rather attend a school that's preparing you for the past or preparing you for the future? Because AI is not a trend anymore, it's a language. And in 5 years, not understanding AI could be as limiting as not knowing how to use email in 2005.
So whether it's the UK building exam pathways, China building national capacity, or Korea weighing caution with innovation, the future of AI in education isn't just coming, it's being written now.
And if your school still hasn't updated its curriculum since 2019, this is your sign. It's time to get with the program, literally. And with that, that's all from us this week. If you found today's episode useful or just mildly entertaining, hit subscribe, share with your network, and we'll catch you next week on the Weekly Education Pulse. Till next time.